Welcome to the Life First Accounting Firm podcast for accountants who love their work but love their lives outside of work even more. I'm your host, Erica Goody, the 15-hour accountant. I built my own mostly solo accounting firm because I wanted balance, health, and more time with my family. In season 1 of this podcast, we're sharing real starting stories from other accountants who chose to do the same, launch their own firms in a quest for more life and freedom. So pull up a chair, settle in, and listen in to the do's, the don'ts, and the would you do it agains. Welcome to Starting Stories. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Erica Goody, and today I'm joined with Alex Ostrov. Alex, thanks for being here.
Erica, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We have you on today. We're talking about starter stories and people who have started their own accounting firms. And I heard a little bit of your story recently, and I have so many questions. And I thought you'd be a great person to just talk a little bit about your start, what your career path was before that. So why don't you go ahead and just at a high level, introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I want to say thank you for having me on. I'm part of your community and I love what you're doing in the space. I think, accountants were inherently introverted, and to, build that community, give us a safe space to go talk about work, talk about personal stuff. I think it's awesome. And then obviously expanding into podcasts as well. But yeah, to provide some context, I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada. It's a little city up in the northeast part of Canada. I, graduated from school there, started working for Ernst & Young in the Big Four in the audit practice. And after, I think 5 years there and, close to 30 winters, I said I had enough. And I transferred to the Bermuda office and I was working for EY there in the wealth and asset management practice. This brought us to 2020. Obviously, we know what happened there. Pandemic hit. Everyone was sent to work from home. And once I had that remote work experience, I was like, I can't go back. So they were trying to pull people back into the office. I think it was June of 2026. And at that point, I was already on LinkedIn. I was firing out messages, to recruiters, CEOs, whatever could be. And I ended up landing a job as a financial controller with a tech company.
When was that?
This was in August 2020. August 2020.
Okay.
Getting my years mixed up here because I
That's
moved
okay.
back to Canada in August and made it through the winter, another 6 months. And then I said, I can't do this. So I hopped on a flight and one-way ticket to Dominican Republic, and I haven't been looking back since. I guess I should preface it by saying the company still is completely remote, and they as long as you get your stuff done, you can be wherever you want. So I was like, I might as well take advantage of this. So I did that for a few years, August 2020 up until, about September 2023. And at that time, I was in the Philippines traveling and working for this company. And I knew I wanted to step back. I was kind of at a point where I didn't think that, I was really growing in the role. Still really enjoyed working at the company and with the people, but I wanted to kind of expand elsewhere. So I was in the Philippines and I had another client fall into my lap, or a client fall into my lap. So I went back to the CEO of the tech company and I said, look, I want to go do my own thing. And he said, yeah, I understand. We'll, replace you, but we still want to keep you on in some capacity. So they're still one of my clients to this day. But, in November 2023, I started Nomad CPA, which the name obviously plays off of my love for traveling. And, within that 3 years from when I left Canada to when I started Nomad CPA, I was living out of 35 countries. So
Oh my gosh.
that kind of fueled that. Initially, I wanted to do, some blogging, some social media stuff, but I realized that's not the type of guy I am. My family doesn't appreciate that I travel so much, but don't send them any photos. So I decided to put that on the back burner. 2026 will be the year for that, to improve on my social media abilities. But yeah, that's the story of how Nomad CPA got started.
And so when did you officially start Nomad CPA?
I formed it in March of 2023. I kind of saw it coming and what I wanted to do. At that point, I was still a resident of Canada as well, which I no longer am. So I kind of started that as the first step of renouncing my residency, as well as becoming a solo firm owner. But it wasn't until I want to say it was October, November of 2023 when I got my second client. And then I kind of built on it from there,
So you're about 3 years in now.
more or
I have about
less.
1,000 I have about 1,000 questions on what you just said. I wanna know where you're a citizen of now, because apparently it's not Canada.
So I'm still a citizen of Canada. I still have a
Okay.
Canadian passport,
Well, you don't have
which I'm
residency.
fortunate enough to have. But yes, correct. I'm not a personal or tax resident of Canada.
Okay. And okay, my mind is blowing up with all the things. Okay, so you're 3 years in. What type of work does Nomad CPA do? Is it tax, advisory? What type of services do you offer?
So yeah, I don't touch tax. I shouldn't say I don't touch it, but very few areas of tax I'm comfortable with handling. I mainly deal with businesses and more specifically entrepreneurs that have multiple businesses. So going back to Bermuda, I worked in the wealth asset management department, and that mainly dealt with private equity funds. So I'd be auditing these private equity funds and I would see their portfolio of companies and I would see their strategies, and it really got me excited about one day potentially going down that road. And then that was kind of where I was going to focus. But as you get more into it, it's hard to have a personal life and a good quality of life if you're working in private equity. Not saying it doesn't exist, but definitely makes it more difficult just because it's so cutthroat. It's always go, go, go. But I knew I enjoyed working amongst multiple businesses. So I kind of gravitated towards dealing with entrepreneurs, not necessarily, a private equity fund, but entrepreneurs that have multiple businesses. So all of my clients now have at least two businesses. Some of them have five or six. And it's basically, well, it can either be doing the full finance function from bookkeeping, payroll, up to, managing audits, things like that, or dependent on what they need, everything in between. So some of them, they'll just want financial statement preparation. Others, they want more strategy, forecasting. They want due diligence on if they're looking to acquire another business, help with their M&A. So it all depends, but that's the commonality, is that these are people that own multiple businesses.
And you're 3 years in, how many clients are they all retainer clients that you are like one-off clients or monthly, recurring clients? And how many of those do you have?
Yeah, I have five recurring. Like I said, the scope is dependent. Sometimes I'll get the odd client that just wants help with some financial due diligence or something like that. But I have five consistent business clients.
Are they all Canadian based, or how are you finding them? And do they have any similarities or niche to them besides entrepreneurs with multiple businesses?
No, so they're kind of all over the place. The majority of them, I guess, three of them are in the U.S. So the U.S. is kind of the target market, especially working in WAM and Bermuda. It was all U.S. based, and then Canada I had U.S. GAAP experience. But then I still have one in Canada, which is that tech company in Canada, and then actually one in the Dominican Republic, who has operations in the U.S.
Okay. And how did you get your first client? You had mentioned your first client came while you were still working for the tech company. How did that how did you find that company, or they find you?
Yeah, everything's been word of mouth. I guess, you know, it's one thing I've learned from traveling is you never know who you're going to run into, who you're going to meet. Like I've met some phenomenal entrepreneurs, and I actually haven't been working directly as a consultant to a client with any of them, but that's how I've gotten it, through referrals.
Like referrals you're actually just meeting while you're traveling?
Yes, and just random referrals. One is a friend of mine was doing his MBA, and he was having a couple drinks at a Harvard bar, and he ran into someone that was going to start a roll up and needed a financial controller. So he got me in touch with him. I was 8 hour time zone ahead, but I had a call with him, and that was a couple of years ago now, and I'm still working with them. So they've all been referrals. I haven't done any marketing. If you go to my social media, basically non-existent. So yeah, I've been fortunate enough that they've kind of fell in my lap in that way.
Okay, so I have a question. I doubt they just fell in your lap, because here's my theory is like people hate talking, especially accountants hate talking about themselves. They hate sharing what they're doing. And so like people know what you're doing somehow. Like you must be talking about it to either your friends or the guy you're sitting next to on an airplane. Like, is that just something you're comfortable with? Does it come up in conversation? Like how do people know that you do what you do?
Okay, yeah. That's a good question. They haven't just fallen on my lap. I guess indirectly, I've received the business. I've always been someone that I was willing to lend a helping hand. And like I said, from traveling, I have met, thousands of entrepreneurs. If I go stay somewhere for 3 months, then I'll probably get tapped into the expat community. I'll go find co-working spaces to go to, things along that nature. So through traveling, meeting entrepreneurs, just, casually sparking up what we do. I think I'm probably one of, I don't know, not too many accountants that are kind of living the lifestyle that I'm living. So, especially someone that is, whether they have multiple businesses in different countries or they're just, running businesses from one country but living in another, we kind of have that commonality where we're both entrepreneurs, but we're both traveling. So that's probably helped. Like I said, I don't have any of them as my clients directly, but it'd be referrals from them, from people I've met.
So I'm so naive to this world of like massive travel, not just like I'm going on vacation for a week, but you say things like expat and
Mhm.
co-working space. Like when you get into a new location, like is there really a community of people doing what you're doing that is easy to find, or easy to find if you know how to find it? Like what is that like if somebody's wants to do this and they're like, well, I do want to meet a community, or I want to do what Alex did. Like, what do you do when you get in country?
Yeah, great question. There are communities in pretty much every country. Some of them will be bigger than others, but if there's, a cafe with Wi-Fi, then you're bound to find someone remote working there in this day and age. Like I said that I renounced my Canadian residence. I'm actually a resident of Paraguay right now, the country of Paraguay, and I'm actually in Mexico getting my Mexican residency. But down in Paraguay, we have a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp is like iMessage, but it's an application that's mainly everywhere outside of Canada and the US. But we have a WhatsApp community of over 1,000 people. So those are not necessarily just remote workers, but these are people from other countries that have moved to Paraguay. And in that, there's a subgroup, which is like a co-working group, and there's 250 people there. So there's 250 people that I can, if I go once a week to our co-working sessions, I'm gonna probably meet most of them over a span of a few months.
Okay, so you have lots of residency, lots of places, it sounds like. You're a resident of the world. You doing this, asking personal questions, do you have a family? Do you have a partner? Like, are you traveling with somebody, or are you just like always solo on your own?
Yeah, we are getting deep, but no, no, I'm happy. Like I said, I'm an open book. Currently, I do not have a partner. This lifestyle is not only not for everyone, but it's difficult to, find lasting relationships. Like, yes, I've been in relationships, and over the last 4 years, I've been traveling, and some of them have spanned over multiple cities, multiple countries, or whatnot. You really got to find someone that has similar interests, because it's not easy. If we're in one country and we're in the Philippines and I want to go to Japan, they want to go to Kenya.
Yeah,
It
fair.
makes it difficult. So
I
yes,
was just
currently not
envisioning
in a relationship.
I was envisioning dragging my kids through the world and being like, we can't do more than a 5-hour flight. I don't know how we would go all over the world. So I was just curious if you like you were trucking a brood through the world.
Not yet. I could see it happening at some point. I definitely tip my cap to those families that I've met. Usually they're not as active as say I would be traveling and living and working, but I've run into families where they'll go to Mexico for a year and they'll spend time usually homeschooling their children, and then they'd go to Colombia for a year, and then they go to Paraguay for a year, so on. So for me, it's like I want to stay somewhere 1 to 3 months. I find that's kind of the sweet spot where you can get your work done, get in a routine, and still be able to see wherever you're going to. But for others, maybe they want to do 6 months. For a family, I'd say you probably want to do at least a year.
Do you have any time zone difficulties with your clients? Does that ever cause issues?
So the one thing that I do both with my team, who's kind of small team, geographically dispersed, and my clients, is I will be consistent for them. Right now I'm on Central Time Zone, so maybe I have to get up for a 6 a.m. call. I'm not going to change it because I'm traveling. Same thing if I, go over to Cape Town, South Africa. Now all of a sudden I'm 7 hours ahead, so I have to take a call at 2 p.m. But again, I'm traveling. I'm choosing to live this lifestyle. I'm not going to put that burden on them. Don't
So
get me
tell me about
wrong. I've definitely got the time zone mixed up on different occasions and missed a call, but luckily so far they've all been pretty tolerant of that.
I did think of that when we started recording this, and I was waiting for, the session to start, and I was like, "Where is Alex when he calls in? Like, what times?" I didn't even think, like, to be courteous of your time zone. I was just living in my own time zone. So I'm glad we were kind of synced up. We're only 1 hour apart right now.
Yeah,
You
and
mentioned a
like
team. I guess I had assumed you were solo. Tell me what your firm, structure is like.
yeah, so I'm, I guess, the client facing person on the team. I do have one team member in Argentina and another one in the Philippines, and that's more kind of the back end work. So bookkeeping, accounting, and it's mainly just because with 5 different businesses, it's a little too much to handle myself. Hopefully, AI will be able to get there, but yeah, no, my team's great, and they really support what we're doing and support our clients well.
How did you find those two team members and why the Philippines and Argentina?
So I found them through, again, a friend that I met while traveling. He has an AI recruiting tool,
Mhm.
and I'll drop the name, but he's gonna have to give me a discount next time he helps me out. But it's actually a great tool. It posts on all the job boards. You can narrow it down geographically. You can put certain criteria on. So like I once put an ad on a job board in the Philippines for a bookkeeper, and the next day I had like 1,000 hits, and that I was starting to feel a little anxious. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this, and it was pretty serendipitous because he actually I was traveling to come visit me down in Paraguay 2 weeks later, and I put those off for 2 weeks just because I was just dreading going through them. And he arrived and he told me about this tool, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. And anyway, he helped me out, and I was able to hire someone, I think within like 5 days, just because his tool
From
really
that
nailed.
1,000, from all
Well,
those.
it was probably actually more than that. I don't have the full number, but basically you put all your criteria in. So I want to say, they want to have US GAAP experience. They have experience working with multiple businesses. I don't really care about the CPA, but got to have QuickBooks experience. Bonus if they have Fathom experience. So you can really drill it down, and then it will only give you, uh, really narrow those results down, and then they'll actually do the first round of interviews. So by the time it got down to me, there was, I think, 5 candidates. That's why I was like, I'll take
What's
5.
the tool called? Did you say what the tool was? Are we allowed to say?
Well, well, his is RP Recruitment AI. And AI. I don't think I have the website. Maybe I can share it with you later. But yeah, I've actually recommended to clients, and some of my clients are using it now. Like, so yeah, it's pretty much putting a SaaS spin on AI recruiting, or on recruiting, I should say. There's probably other tools out there, but he was kind of explaining to me in person. And he's a friend of mine, so I kind of felt obligated to choose that one.
Cool. And are you hiring like when you're hiring in different countries from where you have tax residency, are you hiring contractors? And this is like so outside of, US tax. All I think of is US tax. Like, do you have to worry about employee laws in other countries, or are you hiring them as contractors? How do you kind of reconcile that to whatever tax residency you're abiding in?
Yeah, this is definitely a concern for any company that has like a global presence or allows employees to travel. And like I said before, I was working 3 years leading the finance department for a tech company that had contractors in, I think it was 20, 25 countries or something like that. There's always going to be a risk. Obviously, there's things you can do to reduce that risk. For me, they're all contractors. I don't provide the equipment. I don't have set hours. I usually have a once a week call with each of them. Other than that, if they have questions, they can reach out to me, but we're all adults. We can get our work done. I'm not someone to, hover over a shoulder and micromanage.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. So, what's been the hardest part of, spinning this up in the past 3 years? You started something from scratch. What's been the hardest part for you?
Talking professionally or personally?
Yes.
Like
Whatever you want to answer. If you have an answer for one of those.
from a personal standpoint, it would definitely be, just the distance of being away from my family. Still have my parents up in Canada. My siblings are kind of spread out, but I try to make it there twice a year. But it's always a worry of mine that I'll be across the world and something will happen and I won't be able to be there. So that's the most difficult part. But at the same time, I've never been as happy as I am now, and being a citizen of the world, you could say. So that's the biggest challenge there. For work wise, it's finding that balance. I want to go travel. I want to go hike volcanoes. I want to go, dive for anacondas in the swamp, which I did earlier this year. But I want to do that. But I still want to grow. I want to deliver for my clients. I want to be learning. I don't want to be complacent professionally. So it's finding that balance, which I'm sure you can relate to, because that's the whole premise, is having that life while still being able to deliver for your clients.
Yeah. What's the best part professionally? I think I know personally, traveling the world sounds amazing. So I'm assuming you're living your best life personally. What's been the best part from the professional standpoint?
Professionally, it's being able to work with people that I enjoy working with. Not everyone could look at the way I'm going to live my lifestyle and think that I'm the best fit to help them, which is fine. But the people that are open to it and say, it's pretty cool that I don't know where he's going to be on our next call, but I know he'll be there, and they want to work with me like that, is exciting. And those are usually people that I want to work with and I enjoy speaking with, and I really want to make sure that I deliver quality service for them as well.
Do you have plans to grow? You keep mentioning you have 5 clients. Do you want more clients? Are you at a happy place where you don't need any more, or is it kind of when it comes?
Yeah, it's quite the dichotomy actually, because I don't want to get more clients and put more workload on me, but I do want to grow. So I'm coming to the stage where I'm probably going to have to find either a partner or someone else that can provide fractional services face to face that I trust, because it would involve me relinquishing the personal connection and those meetings and whatnot. So I'm going to a conference in Utah in 2 weeks, and it's kind of there's going to be multiple business owners there, so it's a good opportunity for me. But it's going to be how much I want to really push to get new clients, and if that's the case, then I'm going to have to keep growing. So still taking it day
So you
by
live
day.
you live all over the world, and you're going to be within like 2 hours of me.
Come up to Salt Lake City. We'll go skiing.
I love Salt Lake City. That's what conference are you going to?
It's called the Holdco Conference. I don't know if you know Michael Girdley as well at all. No.
No, but I'm sure we'll find it and link to it in the show notes.
Yeah. There you go.
No, that's awesome. I love Salt Lake City. I'm about 2.5 hours north of there in Idaho.
Nice. Nice. Okay.
You mentioned like you want to grow. Is that more of like because I ask personal questions, is that like more of a financial need, or because you just like you want to grow something bigger?
No, that's a good question. uh, I don't think it's necessarily a financial need. For, financially, I'm trying to diversify. So like I'm trying to, kind of practice what I preach and start other businesses. The goal will eventually be to, I don't want to say not do client consulting or accounting work at all, but I'd rather do it on my own terms rather than as a form of necessity to put food on the table and to
Yeah.
fuel my travel. So I probably could stay complacent, but I don't know. I think you got to take that risk. At least try it. Like I want to try to grow just to see if I can get it there. I do love the solo work, but maybe I can help more people, and to help more people, I'd have to grow. I'd have to grow a team and whatnot. So I at least want to try it. And if I fail, if I can't put the systems in place, put the team in place, then uh, I'll figure out what to do next. But yeah, I just want to give it a try.
Yeah, hey, no judgment from me. I will sit up here and preach how having a solo accounting practice is amazing, and then get bored and go do something else in addition to that, just because like I think human nature tends to be like, gotta keep going, gotta keep moving. Can I do more? And like oftentimes that makes us happy, and that's okay. Like we're told like you need to retire and you need to slow down and boundaries. Like I'm the person talking about boundaries too, right? But also like sometimes we just want to like do stuff, and like we have curiosities and energy and excitement about things, and that's not a bad thing either, to just want to try, right? Want to experiment, want to expand and see what we can do with the skills we've been given.
I think you're a perfect example of that. Maybe you're not growing your client base, but look, you have a growing community. This is your second podcast. You have a newsletter. Like that, that all takes
Yeah,
time. That all takes a lot of time.
it does. And it's because I wanted to keep going, right? And maybe I didn't want to grow the accounting practice, but I was sitting here like, what can I do next, right? I have a curiosity. And so, yeah, that's absolutely not a judgmental question and not a bad answer. Do you think you'll ever go back to a traditional W-2? It's probably not a W-2 in Canada, but a traditional like workplace job.
I'm shaking my head. I'll never say never. At this point, I can't actually see myself moving back to Canada, in which case I couldn't see myself going back to a T4 job, I guess the equivalent of a
There you go.
U2. I just love the flexibility, getting up and not being dependent on anyone but myself. You don't show up for work a few days, someone's going to call you. I guess same would happen for me, but they'd be my clients, and it would be probably a worse outcome. But yeah, it comes down to the flexibility. No, not many T4 companies are going to let me continue to travel, and even though I probably won't live this lifestyle for the rest of my life, I like to have the flexibility to know that I can just pick up and go somewhere else without having to worry about all of that.
It definitely seems like you're in a good place, happy and doing what you love and getting to do work that you love too, that funds a life that you love. I can't imagine you could contrive anything better than that. So congratulations to you. If
Thank you.
somebody is thinking about starting a fractional CFO controllership firm or traveling the world, do you have any advice for them?
It'd probably be you don't have to jump in the deep end. You can put one foot in, like I did. You can ask your full-time W-2 employer if you can go down to a 1099. Yeah. From there, explore whether it's the traveling or going out and trying to build those relationships to get new clients. I would never say quit your W-2, form an LLC and go move to Thailand, because I've met a lot of people that have tried to live the remote life or try to start, and it's not for everyone. A lot of people crave being closer to their family, their friends, and although after a month it might seem like you're not like that, time shows all. So dip your foot in, and just you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So might as well try it.
And you're not the only person on this season of the podcast to mention that you could try to do something with your current employer. Like you could, like, I didn't realize until later in my career that everything was a negotiation. I did not realize you could like ask for things. The first time I was pregnant with our first, I went to my boss and I was like, hey, I want to go down to 4 days a week of work, like 32 hours, not 4 but 32 hours. And he was like, oh, we don't do that. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to have to find a new job. And I was just being serious. Like I was just being truthful. And he was like, oh, let me talk to HR. And I was like, oh, I wasn't trying to negotiate. I was just saying I had to go find a new job. And magically I got a 32-hour work week then. And I think we don't, because especially like as accountants, we're so accustomed to rules, right? Like these are the rules you have to follow. And we use that in our life too. And we forget that like perhaps not all rules are so set in stone, and perhaps things are negotiable. We can ask questions. And that's a great reminder that you might be in a W-2 or a T4 in Canada. You can still ask your employer for adjustments, and you can still dip your toe in the water without making a huge leap forward. So thanks for that reminder.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sometimes it never hurts to ask, but you probably don't need to take that step forward unless you're serious about it like you were. For the listeners, if their employer says no, you can't go down to 4-day work week, then maybe don't threaten to leave unless you're certain about it. But so
maybe it's just like
I like what you
at
did
the
there.
time. In retrospect, I'm like, why did I say that?
Hey, it all worked out, right?
It did. Well, Alex, I appreciate you being so candid, and I heard you have a flight later tonight, so thank you for working us into your schedule. If somebody wants to reach out to you because they want to hear about your business, or they're in Paraguay or Mexico or something, how could they reach out to you best?
Like I said, I'm not too active on social media, so the best way would be my website, which is just nomad.cpa, or to email me, alex@nomad.cpa. I'm happy to have a call and talk about work, talk about life, talk about travel, whatever it is.
Or if you're in a random country, go to the nearest co-working space and you might find Alex there.
There it is, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here, Alex. I appreciate everything you've shared here. Thank you so much for just helping out the community.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. It's been fun, and hopefully see you in a couple of weeks in Salt Lake City.
Hey, it's Erica again. Thanks for joining us today. If you want more stuff like this, subscribe to the 15-Hour Accountant newsletter. You can find the link to subscribe in the show notes. Special thanks to everyone who helped bring this podcast to life. This podcast is produced and edited by the 15-Hour Accountant. All design work is by Lou Valdivieso. The music you're hearing right now in the background is called Destination Freedom by Avocado Junkie. Until next time, work well, live well.